Despite what their moms told them, they just aren't talented enough for radio. Unfortunately, anyone can have a show these days. Sean.
Well, I'm pretty hard to figure out sometimes. In fact, I can't even figure myself out sometimes, so don't you try to.
Joe.
You're an idiot and really a disloyal person.
This is the Cuse Militia. Now, those two unapologetically biased, orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
It's the most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
Welcome, orange men and ladies. Happy Saturday. This is the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe. For the Believe Entertainment Network at Cuse Militia on the socials. Go there, join the militia. This will wrap up would you splatter yourself? When you opened your beer, you splattered yourself. It's like Animal House over there.
I mean, look, I have to get it close to the mic so it can pick up. I don't even know if it picked up anyway, so.
It was a good one. Yeah, you never do know. Actually, I'm the only one that hears that out of the two of us. This show will wrap up the worst basketball season in 60 years. Thankfully, this will be it. So, good win over Florida State. It's good to be the team to end a coach's career. You know what I mean? Leonard Hamilton's never going to forget his last game. Dude coached for 20-something years. So,
yeah,
it felt good. Felt good. They played strong. Great game. And they come out on top. Unfortunately, SMU the second time around wasn't even close to the first time around. And they just took care of Eddie Lampkin. And a lot of unforced errors. And really, that pretty much sums it up. That game summed the season up, actually. If you really think about it, it's kind of like all of the issues that they've had all year kind of reared their heads during that game. I would say, poor defense. Free throws weren't bad. However, the unforced errors and really just not great from behind the arc and also just not real great, period. SMU's defense just pretty much shut them down. 53 points is a pathetic showing, especially when you've got 31 at the half. 28 at the half. 31-28 was the score. Syracuse had 28. And, I mean, I don't know. You feel like they only scored 25 in the second half, but still, you feel like Syracuse probably could have hung in there. And it wasn't long into the second half when things unraveled and kind of everything just kind of slipped back to the old Syracuse team that we've seen in the beginning of the year. And it's really unfortunate, like from my perspective. And I know, Joe, we've talked about it. I know you feel the same way. Wish I would have got to see this team with a healthy Starling and a healthy Freeman to at least close the year out. Maybe it'd be great all year, obviously, but if that's me being super picky, just at least to close the year out, it would have been nice.
Yeah, I know Jair Davis, he started to pick it up and created his own havoc and stuff like that, but just I think that we missed out on something that could have been pretty special between Lampkin and Freeman down low, guys that could have dominated down there. There was games when we still did, but this game was pretty much the epitome of what you needed to do to stop us. They out rebounded us, they beat us in points in the paint, they out toughed us, and they spread the ball around to the point where you had their leading scorer was Harris and Cross both had 12 points, but they had 6 players that had between 8 and 12 points. So between that and them just staying fresh, subbing out, and playing really, really good defense, and we know what it is, right? We've been running the offense through Lampkin. He's been making passes out of that. We've had guys make some plays, and then there's JJ Starling, and they took away JJ and they took away Lampkin, especially in the second half. So,
yeah, and Lampkin's been a machine towards the end of the year, and they gave him a little bit more than he can handle, and we move on. What do you? That's enough about the game, I guess is what I'm saying. We all watched it, right?
Yeah.
The post-game press conference was slightly awkward a couple different times, just on kind of. I mean, I know there's some buzz about the last question. He had a chance to address the fans, and he didn't, which is, I thought when I watched it the next day, and I thought that was, I don't know, I was a little offended myself by that, to be honest with you. But I get it. I get it. I mean, I understand where he's coming from. Like he hasn't had time to. I don't think he thought he was going to be able to give a good answer, so he just, But that's the thing about being a coach. You got to be on your game when people are asking you questions. You got to be ready to answer anything, especially at the end of the year. And you can't tell me that you didn't think about it. So. I felt like it was a little awkward, but he did go on. I did see a clip of him, I think, on Cuse Sports Talk radio, and he's just upset. And as an alum, as someone who went to school there, alum, he raised his family there. He's made it his life, and he's disappointed. No one wants to be the guy that disappointed, to say the least, I'd bet. But no one wants to be the guy that had the worst season in 60 years. Like, you just feel like you've just let everybody down. Former players, your former teammates, Coach Beheim, the fans, the players themselves, the administration, meaning, the athletic department, John Wildhack and everything, and the students. I mean, the weight of it's all on him. And, everybody has their opinion, and I'm somewhere in the middle, I think. But I guess it's a lot, but I just, you had a press conference. I guess just answer the question. So, I mean, you could touch on that if you want, but I say that to ask this. What do you think? Who do you think is a lock for coming back? Because there's only a few that it could be, right?
Well,
Mastorovic, Bell.
Can I hit on that before we move to that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, just along with that last question, and like you said, he could have said something to the fans. There was also, a comment from him about how he felt like, they didn't really get covered fairly. There was some kind of pushback to the media as well as that goes.
It was only Syracuse media in that room, and it was, no one else gave a crap.
And I think it's I don't think he answered those questions because I don't think he's trying to
rattle cages.
Well, it's not even rattle cages. It's like he doesn't want to respond to a question
where he might be angry.
When he might be angry or in his feelings, and so I think that was very tactful to be able to dodge those questions because I think there's a lot there. I think that he does, when he spoke of the injuries and people coming in and changing their roles, we spoke about that, right? But ultimately, you're going to have fans and media that think that, you're still Syracuse and injuries happen. You should still be able to not have the worst season in 60 years, And I can only imagine how that feels, right? And if you're a fan that's from 0 to 60, that was the worst damn season that you've seen. And we've gone through decades where fans expect us to, it wasn't just, are we going to make the tournament? It's what seed are we going to get, And now here we are. And I think that this is just a huge microcosm of what has happened before that. I don't think it's overly Adrian Autry's fault, but I think that this is kind of almost like the straw that broke the camel's back, right? With the fact that we've been to the NCAA tournament one time in the last 5 years. So you have a fan base that's been frustrated even from what Boeheim was doing before Autry even came in and coached. So realistically, I think that this fan base was going to be upset and that they were going to probably call it how they see it the same way, regardless of what our record was, because I'll tell you what, we could talk about injuries and this and that, and like even seeing the ceiling of everybody being healthy. I don't think it's the worst team in 60 years, but I still don't think it's a team that makes the NCAA tournament. And ultimately, Syracuse fans and media are going to be upset if we don't make the tournament.
We, 4 years in a row, right? Not making the tournament. And I think 5 or 6 years in a row of 20 wins or less.
So we had 20 wins last year.
Of 20 wins or less.
Oh.
Yeah. Not breaking 20. That's what I'm saying.
No, got you.
So it's not just Adrian Autry. Okay. We all remember some of the fans have been firing coaches for a few years, right? I mean, it's not exactly been handed over to Adrian. I'm just playing devil's advocate here too, because I'm like I said, I'm in the middle. But just to play devil's advocate here for a second, he wasn't exactly handed a podium finish for a team. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it was all figured out. So it was kind of on this trajectory for a few years. That's why I bring it up. The last 4 years not making the tournament and haven't broke 20 wins in 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And if you speak to the people in the know, like there's been some like Mike Waters and some other people like that have came out and it's the NIL, man.
Oh, of course.
There's a reason why the SEC right now is looking to get 12 to 13 teams in the tournament.
Well,
and it's because there you have the money to get the best players. Again, we can give it to Adrian Autry, but if he doesn't get that support, whether it be through the fans or through the school and John Wildhack, then we just couldn't get players that we normally could have gotten with the brand of Syracuse, right?
So Nadal sent me sent us on our Twitter account, I think, sent us an article. And I don't think we talked about it. Syracuse had or maybe everybody knew and I didn't, and I'm an idiot. Syracuse basketball program had $2 million in NIL. $2 million. These other teams, even in the ACC, are working off of 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Lampkin took 800 of that. 800,000. That leaves us with 1.2. They were trying to find people. One of them being Kadari Richmond, believe it or not. Now, me personally, I wouldn't want a Kadari Richmond back. That's just me. But what's that?
I would have taken him.
I know you would have. But with that said, though, because I don't know, Kadari gave me selfish vibes, weird vibes. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Fair.
So
that's
but if
years ago, though.
I understand. But Eddie Lampkin said something that kind of stuck with me in the press conference, and that was that, or maybe it was Carlos. I can't remember. That basically how tight those guys are, this team, and that there was no finger pointing, and they were a team through and through all these losses and this awful year that they had, and that says something, because could you imagine the situation if there was locker room drama? And we kind of wondered at some point, was there? So
yeah.
Anyway,
never know. With
1.2 million after Lampkin, I mean, I don't know what you can do with it. They were trying. My point is that they were trying. They couldn't. They just couldn't. They couldn't match what some of these other guys were being offered, and I forget the names, but they just couldn't. So, I mean, what do you do? Well, Syracuse has to step up their NIL program. They need more damn money. Okay? They're not, they've been playing catch up with this whole NIL thing ever since it started. They got a late start. We were able to, it's kind of like what we talked about with the NIL stuff, Joe, with football and basketball. And you kind of put all your eggs in one basket this year for the most part, and it worked. Right? For football. Okay? We got a freaking a 1-year transfer, absolute legend, in Kyle McCord. I mean, it worked, right?
Yep, it worked.
So you're probably going to get 4 or 5 draft picks. When was the last time?
Long time.
It worked. However, we need more money. If we want both of these programs to flourish, you need more money. And that's not for me to figure out. That's for John Wildhack to figure out. So
no, for a long time, people say that, right? That it doesn't always come down to the X's and O's. It comes down to the Jimmy and Joes. I mean, you'd be a great coach if you don't got the players.
Right. So if Adrian Autry has the money, I don't think we're looking at what we're looking at. Look what freaking Louisville did.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Do you watch? I mean, hello.
Well, we were losing transfers to. I mean, look at, like I said, the SEC. Whenever you sit there in Vanderbilt and Mississippi had good, have good basketball teams. I mean, it's just we're losing players to these teams because of money, not because they'd rather go to that school than Syracuse.
Yeah, it's quite clear, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just and that still doesn't change the fact for me that the loyalty is not. It's not there. There is no loyalty because money talks and bullshit walks. So, I mean, that's where we're at. And the only reason I'm pissed is because we don't have any. Just so, you know what I'm saying? So it sucks. Yeah. It sucks. They're going to have to figure something out. Talk about, we're going to figure it out. We got a plan. Like, well, what's the plan? I mean, there's nothing to figure out other than how you get more money. That's what you do. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just simple. And they didn't have enough money. I don't know if Coach Autry deserves to be fired before he actually has a good. I mean, you could have stuck Rick Pitino in that position or name said coach, bro. With $2 million playing in the ACC, everybody's out spending you. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. That's how I feel.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. I saw players that. I mean, Jaquan Carlos wasn't in the top 10 of. I mean, I paid attention to it pretty closely when you're talking about the lead transfers and the top guys. And you go in there and just one by one, these top guys just gone. Oh, Mississippi State. Oh, this. Oh, and then we end up, getting the guy out of Hofstra. Well, I mean, which again, I know he had an issue with, fitting in with the roles and all that other kind of stuff. And I know that there was some fans that weren't a huge fan of him, but I mean, I thought that he got. You knew what he was going to get out of him, what we were going to get out of him, and we needed him to play because we didn't have another point. I mean, that was our guy, but that was what our money allowed us to get, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Patino
got Kadari Richmond. If Patino is at Syracuse,
right, then
Kadari Richmond still doesn't come back to Syracuse, right?
Right, yeah, Patino, because Patino wouldn't have had the money to pay for him. Patino would have had the same $2 million that Adrian Autry had. And how you spend that $2 million is you need a big man. We had to have it.
Well, I mean, right. And you say, okay, 800,000.
Yeah.
800,000, but what is this team if we didn't have Eddie Lampkin?
I mean, we all know. We all know. I don't think it's even a question. Eddie Lampkin willed a couple of these games through. I mean, he was a nightmare. Not that he wasn't taken care of before, but SMU laid the groundwork or basically made the blueprint for that. He still got 10 rebounds. He just didn't score. They couldn't give him the ball.
Right.
So what do we do to make this program better? Well, we get more money. That's it. So with that said, player retention. Yes. Does player retention even matter anymore? If you have money, it doesn't. Yeah, it does. If you don't have money.
Oh, yeah. Fair.
Yeah. So we're looking at.
Yeah, because it would be nice to have Copeland and Malik Brown this year.
Yeah, Copeland. Yep. Like I said. Loved him when he was on our team. I watched the McNeese State game. Couldn't stand him. He's been that whole team's full of Copelands. So they're scrappy.
They're going to be a fun watch.
They are. Anybody who plays them is going to hate them for sure. So missing that energy, and it's too bad.
Yeah.
So let's take a look. We got Starling, Mastorovich, Bell. Cuff has said he's coming back. I don't count my chickens for the egg before the eggs hatch. Who else is there? That's it. That's here, right? Is that correct?
What?
Am I missing someone? Talking about players that are coming back.
Players that are coming back.
Players that are eligible to come back.
Okay, we're going to have seniors that are what? Seniors are going to be Chris Bell, Kyle Cuff, and JJ Starling.
So I'm forgetting Donnie Freeman. That's who I'm forgetting. So I got 5.
JJ Starling. Yeah, JJ Starling, Kyle Cuff, and Chris Bell are seniors that could come back. And then it'd probably be Chance Westry, whatever that happens with the Chance Westry.
Yeah, good point.
And then there's Elijah Moore, Donnie Freeman, and Peter Mastorovich, with 4 players signed for next year's class. So,
yeah, and still don't have a big man for next year really either.
Well, if you break it down, we have the guards. We have J.J. Starling, Chance Westry, Elijah Moore, Kyle Cuff, and then Cayenne Anthony and Luke Fennell, who are both coming in, obviously, next year. Wings and small forwards, we have Chris Bell and Aaron Womack, who's coming in the recruiting class. And then power forwards, we have Donnie Freeman, Peter Mastorovich, and Sadiq White. And centers, we have none.
Yeah. So the same problem we've had previous 10 years, just about, kind of.
That's 11 players they could return. And I want to say I read that the scholarships for teams are going up to 15 next year. So that leaves 4 open spots for either a late 2025 edition or transfers.
What is going on here? This is plugged in, and you can't hear that, but it keeps yelling at me. Oh, it's not plugged in. Oh no, don't die. Oh, it died. It died.
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by. We'll return to our program shortly.
Okay. What were you saying?
I was saying...
Oh, boy.
Essentially, there's 11 players that are eligible to return if they would like to, and we are going to have 15 scholarship spots. So.
Oh, right. That's what you were saying. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Eddie Lampkin did finish with 317 rebounds on the year. It's really good, by the way.
Yeah.
It's more than a lot of other people. So.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah, Chris Bell is Boeheim's final recruit. Everybody else has been recruited from Adrian Autry, so it's going to be interesting to see.
Really?
Question is that what happens? I mean, who transfers?
That's what my question is, man. That was my question. Like you still haven't answered it. I said that. I said Kyle Cuff said he's coming back. That was the setup for the conversation, and you started talking about how many scholarships we got and stuff. I don't know.
Well, I thought we were just talking about it.
That's whatever.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I hope that JJ comes back.
I mean, why wouldn't he? Why would he go back to Syracuse? And I mean, unless someone's like, "Hey, we got this much money for you," and he's like, "Hey, so and so's got this much money for me."
Well, that's what I'm saying. If there's any player that's on this team that a team might come after and try to give him a bag, it's probably going to be JJ, right? I mean,
yeah, most likely.
Chris Bell, I wouldn't care if he came back, but I don't know if he would play any type of different role.
I mean,
I don't.
I did see him smile during the Florida State game. It's like the rarest thing.
Right.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, he seemed like he was in better spirits as the season went along, as far as like coming off of the bench. But that was when he was coming off the bench, still playing like equal minutes to Lucas Taylor. And then near the end there, I think he had a couple bad games, and Lucas Taylor was playing way more. And I don't know.
Well, Lucas Taylor was playing way better too. Chris Bell's a roller coaster, so
I know.
You just never.
The talent's there.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
It's, to me, a lot of it is just the basketball IQ and the basketball IQ, and then sometimes the effort is what gets me, and that's just not something that you winning teams. You need players that need those things. So super talented, make good plays and stuff like that, but then also just made bad decisions. And a lot of times I thought he could have worked a lot harder to get open. I mean, I just, remember watching like how hard Buddy Boeheim and Joe Girard would like work to like get an open shot. And it was like Chris Bell he'd come off one pick and turn. And if he didn't get the pass, it was like, then he would just stand there. So, it's just little things like that are just keeping him from being, hitting his ceiling. So I'm at a point now where to take it or leave it at this point. But at the same time, is that something that he can fix in the offseason and then actually be a really good player next year? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm with you. Take it or leave it. I mean, it is what it is.
So, and Kyle Cuff, I don't think he's in a position to go anywhere else. I think he's got a pretty solid role in this team.
Yeah.
Don't expect him to start, but I expect him to come off the bench, play tough defense, and occasionally hit threes and take it to the hoop. He's a good complimentary guy off the bench. Chance Westry, I can't imagine that he's going to be asking for too much money because he hasn't played in however many years. So
it's going to be going on. It's going to be going on 4. We're at 3. We're at 3 now, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, are you drinking a Voodoo Ranger? Is that a Tropic Force?
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But yeah, I wouldn't mind him taking up a scholarship spot because obviously we know that he was talented and he just hasn't played. So, I look at that as almost like a lottery ticket, right? It's like a free lottery ticket you found. Not really going to take up a lot of your NIL. He came from Auburn. He was a high recruit. So if you ever actually, I think it's going to get to a point this year where he's either going to actually like play and be a part of the team and kind of get over the injury bug, or it's going to be one of those things where he is just, who knows, another knee injury might end his career.
Yeah, well, yeah. We'll see. Donnie Freeman. Does Donnie Freeman come back? Because that for me, that's the biggest question mark.
And that's a tough one. Or to be, no. I mean, yeah, would maybe a team comes in, but I don't know if they're going to come in high enough. I don't know. I'd like to say that it also comes down to his relationship with the coaches and where he's from, but Donnie Freeman, to me, again, is the biggest question mark. Because I don't know if he
is feeling it.
Yeah, I don't know. Especially, like I said, with Sadiq White coming in, I don't know what he was promised. Donnie Freeman, if he comes back healthy, I'm sure he's going to expect to kind of be the guy too. So I don't know if those two players, maybe they can. Maybe Sadiq White can play 3, or maybe Donnie Freeman can play 5. Maybe they can coexist. But yeah, I wouldn't count on that. So
And we got to figure out what we're going to do for a center instead of, sticking someone in there to plug a hole.
Right, and that's again your worry, right? Because if you do get Donnie Freeman back, Mastorovich, he played good enough to where I feel like he's going to get a decent go at it. Plus, like I said, Sadiq White with that power forward, unless you plan on switching off, a Mastorovic and Donnie Freeman at the 5, and then obviously having Sadiq White and Donnie Freeman playing, the 4. I just don't see that that's the route that they go. I feel like they need to get a center. So that's why I just worry about whether or not Freeman's actually going to be willing to come back, or if he's going to go ahead and get more money and go play somewhere in the SEC where he's got a guaranteed spot. Because some good team is going to have a wide open power forward spot that he can go and start.
Yeah. Okay. What else?
Elijah Moore, he got hurt. He was off and on. I don't see anybody really coming.
Yeah, totally forgot about him.
Yeah, so realistically, it's hard as a Syracuse fan to say, with everybody coming in and us being younger and everything like that, we could have a very, very talented team next year. But really, it's what does J.J. Starling and Donnie Freeman do? And then how much money do we have to go get other transfer portal guys?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking, you can go to 247 and check out the portal. And
I'm sure there's a lot of good guys in there.
Yeah, a lot of good guys are already moved. I mean, they're already committed.
That could be in-season stuff, as well.
So
I don't think you can.
What?
I think most guys.
You don't think this is accurate? Is that what you're saying?
What's that?
Oh, this is old.
Last year, right?
This is last year. Yeah. I was like, damn, there's freaking people are making moves. We're way behind. It's last year. That's why, because it's done. Yeah, I guess there isn't an active. You know what? There's probably something somewhere, an active portal site on 3 maybe. See, it's just not that time of year yet. So
yeah, you gotta wait. You wait for the.
Yeah, well, you figured some of the teams that aren't going to make the tourney maybe or whatever. I don't know.
No, yeah,
but we're just finishing up conference championships. So anyway, okay. I don't really have anything else, man. I guess. So do you? Before I close this out.
Well, again, I hope. If JJ and Donnie Freeman stay, then I feel like it's only going to take one or two, spend a lot of money on one guy, a good center, right? Maybe a center and a point guard or something like that. And that would really, really make a pretty solid team. If we lose JJ and Donnie Freeman and get stuck with a super young team, then we're going to be in a situation where we got to go and get another 4 or 5 transfers, just like we did this year from other schools. And if we don't have that money, we're going to have to spread it out just like we did, and it would be like Groundhog's Day all over again.
Yeah, I was going to say it's going to be doing the same. We're going to be in the same spot we were, and that's the danger of not having any money, and that's also just the downside to all of this. I mean, if you got money, if your team has money, this whole thing is a dream deal. Who cares about developing players, right? You have other teams develop your players, and then you steal them. You just pay them more, right? And
that's where the future is going.
Yeah, you just put a dream team together as much as you can every year. This is what Duke did before we could see how the sausage was made. Teams like Duke, they get the one and dones and all that, and who knows what they were promised before all this was wide open. But,
well, the problem is Duke, and they can still get the best recruiting class like they did this year, and then still go get 3 solid. Right.
But they're working off of $4 or $5 million, too.
Right,
not 2.
And who did they go? They went and got one of Purdue's best players, Tulane's best players, and Syracuse's best players.
Right. So it's like you can't even be mad. It's not like, oh, well, your team can't recruit. No, my team has no money. It's not. It's that's the reason. It's not an excuse. It's a reason. Like we don't have the money. You know, sorry kids, no groceries this week. You know, free lunch. Thank God.
Got these bag of oranges.
Thank God. Thank God. Get some free lunches at school. I'm just send you there hungry. I'm sorry. Okay. That's all I got. I'm packing this thing up. So packing this thing up. I'm the plan is I'm moving. I don't know if I am yet or not. I'm pretty sure I am. But I gotta sell my house first. So anyways, I'm packing this thing up. And I'm gonna unpack it at the new place. So the next time you hear my voice, I should be in a new spot. And if we have any like impromptu or emergency type shows that need to get done, then it's easy enough to do. I could figure it out as needed. So,
yeah. Meaning we don't know when we will be back.
Meaning we don't know when we're going to be back. That's correct. The spring game is April 12th. So like 3 weeks away, something like that, just over 3 weeks. So I guess, I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that. We'll have to see what's going on. But it's back in the dome. So, yeah. So anyways,
Some concert got canceled so they can play in the dome now.
What concert?
Don't know.
Okay.
That's all I got, man.
If you're listening to us, this show at all, not just right now, but even in the beginning, we appreciate it. Because if I'm you, if I don't do this show, I sure as hell ain't listening to one. So, we appreciate it. For Joe, for Sean, we're out.
Peace.
We'll see ya when we see ya.